And so, but at the time, anybody, he's from Torrance and I'm from Inglewood, which is the South Bay near the airport, LAX. So anybody that was into those movies, westerns, blaxploitation, would be thinking about doing a western with a black, that kind of thing, right? So I didn't get Drumfire made. I got it developed as a screenplay, but then we took elements from Drumfire and put it in Rosewood. That's why Rosewood has kind of like the dude on the horse thing, right? So I'm happy you made the movie. It works as a western. It's great. It's a great western. You know what I mean? I respect what Spike's saying. He and I talked about it last week. You know, when we were together and stuff. But I think privately, a lot of black filmmakers, you know, some of them don't want to speak out and shit. You know, whatever this. But I mean, I think they're pissed off because nobody's going to give somebody black $100 million to do a movie like that. You know what I mean? I'm not mad because I made Rosewood. Rosewood is in the National Archive, so what do I gotta say? You know what I mean? It's like so. But people have to understand something about Tarantino, that he has a black fetish. For some reason. Oh, you're quiet, but it's funny because the movies not serious. The movies he makes aren't serious. You know what I mean? They're like they're caricatures or they're comedies, but they're fun. I mean, the stuff that he does with Sam Jackson, that he did with Sam in Pulp Fiction, and and the stuff that he does and everything. But all of that stuff comes from a certain place, that psychological place that he doesn't even know. This comes from, like, if you've seen True Romance, there's a scene between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, where Dennis Hopper is going to get killed by Christopher Walken and all of his minions. And he asks for a cigarette, and he talks shit about the heritage of Christopher Walken being Italian. And he talks about, your mother, she got fucked by niggas and all that shit with this. Well, and all this different things and stuff like this. Well, Quentin, and he said this in interviews, he's talking about himself. He's talking about the fact that he grew up where his mother dated black men. And she didn't date Sidney Poitier. You know what I mean? She dated, like, real niggas. So he's a little boy growing up with that shit. So, when he's doing these different things, he's inadvertently, psychologically saying, he's still a white dude. He's a cool dude. I like the dude. We're friends from years. I joked with him. I said, I'm really mad at you. He said, why? I says, because you're the first white boy smart enough to put soul music in your movies. I thought that was just going to be our thing, and you guys be too stupid to do it, right? And we go back and forth, cinephile and everything. But when he's doing that stuff, and like, what's really crazy is that when somebody that is not that is white does something halfway decent, they just applaud. Oh my God, it's the second fucking coming. I can't believe he's a fucking god. And that's not just for Tarantino. It's just anybody does something half a minute ago. But someone black does something, they're like, they spend so much energy trying to push it to the side and ignore it and everything. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that I've always asked black audiences, or audiences that are that understand why we do what we do when we try to do something special, to own up to it. These movies that you love and that you guys say you respect and everything, outside of Boys, most of the pictures I've made, they have a kind of emotional resonance years afterwards.
That's right.
Like when Baby Boy came out, some people were like, why'd you not make another Hood movie? And I'm like, fuck you, pretentious, bougie motherfuckers. Like, there's a reason why I made this movie. I can go make a movie about black people with money that don't give a fuck about everything else, but I want to make something about real folk. And so it's a trip because, there's not everything I do is going to be applauded the first time someone sees it. And Sidney Poitier sat me down in the beginning of my career. He told me this. He said, just because a movie doesn't make money doesn't invalidate its, invalidate its existence. Yeah. And like Rosewood, I made Rosewood, Django Unchained's made like $160-something million here. Rosewood barely cracked $14 million, right? But it's like, Django Unchained is a Western. It's a great movie, a pop culture movie, and other things. And Rosewood is a look on something that, that people don't really want to look at.
That's right.
You watch Django Unchained, and, And if you're black, you're like, oh my God, he's grilling all his crackers. That's good. You're fine. I love it. But I told him movies don't fail. You don't have him killing a bunch of white people.
That's right.
He's gonna kill. He's gonna kill a lot of white people. Watch this. But it's you can't have it both. It's not a serious movie. You know what I mean? And not to say that he had to make a drama, but he did a great movie. It's fucking hot. I love it. I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
But you can't have it both ways and say the movie's a serious movie and should be taken seriously. And the thing that Spike is dealing with, and we talked about this, is that some people, young people, think that was what it was. But that's not what it was. That movie was soft compared to what it was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure.
It was compared to what it really was. You know, I mean, I don't think we'll ever get a movie in this generation that really. If I was going to do a movie about that period, it would be a horror movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nobody. I don't know if I could do it in a way that people really want to see it because I would make it so truthful.
Right.
You know, you pee and shit in your pants while you're watching. Like I would never want to go to that place.
Right.
You know, but I think that point of view is valid. To like, there's movies that like I think it was great that he did it in that milieu because it makes the guy even more of a hero for going on this journey for this black woman, and he prevails. You know, I mean, I have my problems with the movies. You know, as a filmmaker, like at the end of it, how come all the motherfucking slaves are out there applauding the fucking plantation blew up?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But then that's something that somebody black did.
Would have done, right?
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to leave off with just on just talking about Django Unchained. I want to bring it back to you and that label as a black filmmaker.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It means that you're black and you make movies. but not everybody. But not everybody that's black that makes movies is a black filmmaker because there's so many people that aren't really settled in themselves as black people. They're so fearful of what someone's going to think about them as being black. There are people who are multi-billionaires. They're like, oh my God, someday all these white people in the room are going to look at me and say, we got a nigga in here. And they're not even aware of it, right? But there are people, and very few minorities that are settled in themselves that are like, I am who I am. And I don't give a fuck if you think whatever. Like, and they're either respected or they're not respected. And that's why I love Spike to this day because he says what's on his mind. You know what I mean? And I talked to him about this candidly recently. I said, I haven't really had to say much shit because you go out, I don't have to co-sign with you either. So, I'll tell motherfuckers what it is. So, but there's not enough people that are candid about things. And I think that him doing what he's done in terms of the work that he's done, you wouldn't have any of these black stars now, including Denzel and Holly and Sam Jackson wouldn't have worked with Quentin Tarantino. You wouldn't have Wesley Snipes. You wouldn't have, a lot of these people if it wasn't for the work of Spike. And he opened it up for the studio to say, we're going to give this kid, $6 million, 22 years old. He don't know shit. We're going to give him money to go do a movie. Because this guy was getting solid in his career. And I think that, my success, my initial success and my continued success allows it to be possible for other filmmakers to actually come in and do, and have a signature vision of what they want to do, and not have to have somebody tell them, oh, don't do that or change this or change this, and I think that success begot success. But if my legacy if I can leave a legacy in anything in my work, is to really be true and passionate to who you are as a storyteller, and not be afraid. You know what I mean? If you're afraid, it keeps you from really exploring new horizons and pushing the envelope and telling stories that may make people uncomfortable, but at the same time, they'll rise from it. So I'll leave you guys.